Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Welcome, and we'll say good morning to my fellow commissioner, Commissioner Fournier.
Good morning, everybody.
And I believe Commissioner Scar is traveling this morning, but I'll pause here a moment in case I'm mistaken and she's with us. Okay, not hearing her. Let's jump right into the meeting with Eric Swanson, President of Adventist Health Tillamook.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner. We have 9 patients in the hospital today, 5 surgeries yesterday, ambulance crews did 7 911 transports yesterday, 1 transfer, 1 transport home. Yesterday, we had the privilege of welcoming a new general surgeon to Tillamook, and that's Dr. Grant McClune. He did his orientation yesterday, and his first day in clinic is tomorrow. And you'll be hearing more about Dr. McClune. He graduated from the University of Iowa in '92 and finished his general surgery residency in '97. So he's got extensive experience as a general surgeon, and he comes to us most recently from working down in Florence. So we are very excited to have Dr. McClune as part of our medical staff today. And for those of you who've shared with me your concerns about not being able to get in to see a physician, we are diligently working on recruiting additional physicians and advanced practice providers here. We've got about 15 in the queue right now in the pipeline and have interviews scheduled. A couple of letters of intent are out and contract negotiations are ongoing. So hopefully we'll fill some of those gaps so that there's not such a delay in getting an appointment at any of our clinics. So with that, unless you've got questions, I'll go back on mute.
Thank you, Eric, and congratulations on hiring a new surgeon.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have anyone on from the Coastal Caucus this morning?
I'm here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good foggy morning, right?
Yes.
Been a busy week, even though we're not in session and not, having formal Salem meetings. Yesterday we had the wildfire meeting to talk about the state of fires in Oregon currently. And it's kind of disconcerting to hear the number of acres that have burned so far. They're saying 400,000 acres that's currently estimated burned. Cost our state about $35 million currently. With the lightning strikes, there can be as many as 1,000 fires that are started throughout the state. Fire suppression is right on the forefront of what's happening right now with money and people and being able to get additional manpower and contracts for firefighting out there. It's something that we especially hope does not impact us on the coast here because of the amount of rain that we do have, but we have many counties currently in drought condition, and so we are going to be hearing more about this. The legislature provided $80 million in the budget specifically for wildfires, and we're hoping that will be able to hold through the season. You can tell I haven't talked yet this morning. And of course, this is because of a lack of snow, a lack of moisture throughout the winter. And we are right now at preparedness that's level 5, and so you know we're in danger of having to spend a lot of money to be able to control these fires. The rain in the wintertime is a good thing. The snow in the wintertime is a good thing. It protects us throughout the summer. And so let's hope that our seasons in the future will be able to carry us through so that we can protect our natural resources and the homes of people that live in all of these areas. The thing that they're happy about is that there haven't been any serious injuries currently as a result of the fires, and no fatalities as a result of the fires. But those things are always possible. There have been a number of equipment losses as a result of the fires. And there's the hope that through today and tomorrow, the rain will be cooperative and put out many of those fires that are, stewing right now throughout the state. Life safety protection and weather are extremely important right now to being able to survive this wildfire season. And as a result, we have had a large influx of contractors coming in from out of state. So there are people from all over the United States that are continuing to support our fire suppression. And as an additional consideration, we have a meeting today of the Tillamook Working Lands and Waters, their regular meeting. And I am sure that wildfires will be addressed in that meeting also, because it is something that we are very concerned with, the security of our area. On a lighter note, we had Dory Days this last weekend, and I was unable to attend the meetings to discuss the construction of the Heritage Museum, but it is something I really support because it is something that we can use and bring forward to be able to preserve the history of the Dorys. It was a great parade, lots of candy. It's so inspiring to see all of the people who turn out for that parade and for that celebration in such a small community area. The other thing that happened this weekend was the 100th anniversary of the Astoria column. And I was there for the gala in the evening. I am sure you'll probably hear from Rep. Javity that he climbed up to the top of the column this weekend, his first time up there. It's a good climb. It's the scenery from the top of it is absolutely stunning. What they have done to preserve the column, being 100 years old, is phenomenal. If you have an opportunity to go up there, you see it from a distance, but when you get up to it and you see the artwork on it, and you see what has been achieved to be able to preserve that, it's very, very impressive. Next weekend, we also have Garibaldi Days coming up, and that's going to be a wonderful celebration of our coast and our fishermen and our whole area. And so I encourage you to take care of that. And I love driving from Tillamook to Garibaldi and seeing that big tent over there for all of the events that they have throughout the summer. It's very welcoming. The other thing that I was involved in this week was going to the Port of Tillamook Bay's meeting. And and hearing, the plans they have for the future and how they are, working things out. Folks, pay attention to that. Our Hangar B is extremely important to our area, just for visual effects. And it does have an opportunity, and the port is really working on this to be able to provide additional economic development for the area. And so we're working diligently to find ways to be able to support taking down that flap and rehabilitating the hangar for economic development. And there is a group called FOTAM, Friends of Tillamook Bay Hangar, and if you're interested in that, they would be interested in help from you, whether it be monetary or physical, to be able to promote Hangar B and all that it has available to our area. And so with that, I have meetings on hunger this week and working on the concepts going forward for securing food security for our area and for the people of our district. And that's very important to us. And the concepts that are going to be going forward in the next legislative session are being developed now. So if you have issues and areas that you think should be developed as concepts for bills, don't hesitate to get a hold of your legislators and suggest these things to them. Because with the number of concepts that come forward, we have to be vetting them early on before they are, coming to the legislature, to make sure that all of the ideas, all of the rationale, all of what we have for data going forward that would support these issues is there, so that it can have the best chance of survival and passing. And that's what I have to tell you. Get in there, figure it out, contact your legislators, contact your candidate so that they can be aware of additional ideas going forward. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Senator. Always good to hear from you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have Rep. Javity with us this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Well, thank you.
Happy to be here this morning. Always good to hear Senator Weber. I got to see her a little bit this weekend, which is always a treat. She, as you heard, she and I were crisscrossing paths, and we bumped into each other at different events. We got to see her at the gala on Saturday nights, and that was pretty neat. They, like she said, it was the 100-year anniversary of the Astoria Column. So back in 1926, on July 22nd, which is actually tomorrow, is the official birthday of the column. The Great Northern Railroad, which had stretched from the east to the west, had this great idea back then to try to encourage tourists to choose their railroad to get across the United States instead of any of the competitors, to put up these monuments all along the route. And there were 12 of them. They range from pretty small installations to pretty big ones. The Astoria Column ended up being the biggest and the grandest of all of these monuments that you can still actually go and see. They hired an artist from New York who's world renowned, and he used a special technique to wrap artwork, actually etch artwork into multiple layers of plaster that told the story of the opening of the West by basically European settlers. Port Astoria was the first permanent settlement on the West Coast, and so this told the story of Robert Gray, who was a sea captain that was the first American captain to sail across the bar into the Columbia. Others had, Europeans and other nations had kind of seen the mouth of the Columbia River. It wasn't called the Columbia then, but the boat he was in was called the Columbia River something. I forget the second part of the name, but he must have had a hard time saying it too, because he just named it the Columbia River when he sailed across, and so it tells the story of that crossing, and then Lewis and Clark coming out 5 years later, and then John Jacob Astor, the fur trader, coming out and establishing a trading post there. So I think it's also important to note that river and all of the native peoples who had lived in this area had been using the river for nearly 13,000 years prior to that. And so it had been an important commercial and economic trading route up and down the Columbia that goes all the way up to Canada. So this monument gets put up on the top of Coxcomb Hill 4 years after the Great Astoria Fire. It's attended by 8,000 people. And it's the coolest thing on the West Coast at that moment. And so this was the 100-year anniversary. And like Senator Weber said, you can climb to the top and look out over the entire area. You can see the Columbia, the Pacific, and then all of the mountain range there. So it was a fun event. Lots of people attended. They had Chinese drummers there beating drums. It used to be 30% of the Astoria area used to be Chinese immigrants. And then there was a symphonic band. It was quite the production. And at the end, a bunch of local students from the area climbed up to the top and launched paper or wooden gliders off the top of the Astoria, which was a fun thing to see. So a great weekend, a cool bit of heritage in our neck of the woods. And if you haven't been up there recently to see it, the restoration of the artwork that they did, which, by the way, they use toothbrushes to help clean and restore, and which I fully approve of, what is just magnificent, and the detail is stunning of that artwork. And so worth the trip. And of course, there's lots more to do up there. Earlier in that day, I was down. Didn't see Senator Weber down there because she made the parade. I couldn't make it to the parade this year, but I was able to stop by the Doryman Heritage Center gathering, which I'm excited about. And I know they're talking with many individuals around the community, which would be a museum of sorts to honor the Dory fleet in Pacific City and Tillamook County. And so that's was great to connect with them and hear more about the project. We're going to be trying in the upcoming legislative session to see if we can help support that with some money to improve or to make that a reality. But it'll take an effort from the whole community. And so we're looking to just do whatever we can to continue to invest in the community in all sorts of ways, from housing and jobs to arts and reasons for people to stop and stay in our towns and shop in our stores and visit. And so that was an exciting weekend, and I was happy to get to participate in that. More other types of news. Last week, I didn't get to see her, Commissioner Scar. I got to spend some time on the local Tillamook bus system, did a tour of the city, and was hosted by a wonderful bus driver and a great public transportation system. Got to see Brian as well, and what a neat we're lucky to have just a great little bus system like that helps so many people, take you all around Tillamook and even out of Tillamook. And just touching on the wildfire news from Senator Weber, that is a big concern. It is involving almost every legislator. They're trying to keep us aware of the situation. It's basically just a spark waiting to happen on July 15th. I believe this is true. Just find my notes here. Yeah, July 15th, just a few days ago, we had 2,000 lightning strikes hit Central Oregon and started 85 different fires. So it is set to be a busy, dangerous fire season. So please be careful as you're out there and be aware of the dangers. The state's been, like Senator Weber said, saving some funds, setting some funds aside to be able to pay the firefighting efforts if we do indeed end up having what could be one of the worst fire seasons in a very long time. So we'll be getting some updates from the governor and her team this week. And other than that, Senator Weber mentioned it's time for legislators to start turning in bill ideas. We still have about a couple of months till the first deadline. So I do encourage anybody who's got an idea or a problem or a need to reach out so that we can have a discussion about that and what can be done. A couple that I'm working on is trying to get speed up permitting for affordable housing so that we can see projects move along a little bit quicker than they're doing. Another one I've been talking with Commissioner Fournier about is trying to get some abatement fees for to help cover the cost of asbestos and abandoned RVs, which will help just clean up the community when we've got some of those sitting around. And I've had some constituents mention it would be nice if we didn't have to pay for parking at some of our state parks at the beaches, so that locals could park there and enjoy the beaches. And so I'm having some conversations about the feasibility of that and how we might replace the funding necessary for that. And then looking to see what we can do to continue to give our healthcare system here on the coast some breathing room. We're looking at some policies that might make it so hospitals have a little bit less or a little bit more resources to continue to keep the lights on by looking at policies that are requiring some tight nurse staffing ratios, as well as some other issues that have put the crunch on operating costs. So just don't want to bore everybody with policy details, but definitely still looking for and talking about ways that we can tackle some of the problems that we have right in front of us, as well as how to bring down just the cost of living and the cost of everything. Food's expensive and energy's expensive, and people are continuing to feel it in every aspect of their lives. And it's definitely starting to, or it has for a while, but really be a big problem for so many in our community that depend on all sorts of assistance, from food assistance to healthcare assistance and rental assistance, and just need any relief they can get. So as I have more details on that, I will be sure to share. But this week is, if anybody's interested, the Clatsop County Fair as well as Garibaldi Day. So if you're going to be up in Clatsop County and you want to check out their fair, it's pretty cool, I'll be honest, but it is not quite as cool as the Tillamook one. But if you love county fairs, theirs is worth visiting. I always enjoy it. They have a wonderful concert there as well. They are going to have rides back for the first time in a few years, and they have it's quite the production. But as Tillamook being the hometown, the Tillamook County Fair still is the kind of the star of the show here on the coast, and that's coming up in a few weeks. But if you want a little prep and a primer this week up in Clatsop County, check out the fair. And other than that, I'll be around the district this week just visiting with folks. I'll be out talking to voters. So hopefully I'll see people out there. And if you do see me, feel free to stop me and tell me what issues you think are first and foremost, and how we address those and do a better job of getting the resources we need for our community and for the state. So.
Thank you, Representative. Your audio just dropped out for me.
Oh, sorry, I must have had a weird thing, but glad. Yeah, so that's it. If there's any any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but otherwise I'll let you get on with the rest of the program.
All right, thank you so much. I don't have any questions, but I wanted to tell you that I really enjoyed reading about your visit to the Astoria column, and the detail you shared was fun, including that some group of diligent people scrubbed the mural with toothbrushes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've had to, if you look into the history of it, there's over the course of the 100 years, about every, 3 to 20 years, depending on what material was used, they've had to redo the artwork, not redo it, but preserve it. At one point, they got so tired of preserving it, they were tempted to just spray paint it a color and just be done with it. But fortunately, because of some generous individuals, specifically the Schnitzer Foundation and family, they were able to raise the funds to bring in artists from around the world, but more locally, the Seattle Opera, who came down and spent hours and hours and hours just almost grain by grain restoring the outside and preserving it. So it's quite that was the group that was using toothbrushes. So quite the production, quite the history there. Definitely worth checking out. And but a beautiful, priceless piece of art we have on the coast here, right in our own backyard.
Thank you. I have climbed the column, and it is well worth it. Astoria is a fun city.
Yeah, it really is. 164 steps if you could make it, but it's worth the climb.
Truly. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yep. You bet.
Let's move on now to Tillamook County Community Health Centers and Camille Sorensen. Do we have Camille on the line today? If not, let's move on to Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy and Gail Nelson. Well, how about Tillamook Family Counseling Center?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, everybody. So today I was going to speak about supported employment. If you maybe saw the newspaper, we had a story in there regarding our supported employment program. So I thought I would just speak a little more to that and give some additional detail to the community. So we do offer a supported employment program that is an evidence-based model through the individual placement and support team. And this is a model that's designed to help people with serious mental illness find and maintain competitive jobs in their community. And so the 8 core principles of IPS are competitive employment. So that means jobs that pay at least minimum wage. And so we're looking for individuals to have, again, not underemployed, but at least minimum wage. That are zero exclusion, meaning anyone with a diagnosis with work history, substance abuse disorder, anyone who's unhoused, legal involvement, or someone with a disability or eligible for work. So again, zero exclusion for individuals looking to be involved in this program. We offer integrative services, which employment specialists coordinate with the client's treatment team. So that would include their mental health or substance use treatment providers. Rapid job search. So as soon as an individual is enrolled in our program, a job search starts immediately so that we can find them a job as quickly as possible. Systemic job search. So we will visit different employers based on what the client preferences are. So we meet with them for several hours and just talk about what they would like to do for a job. And we look for those rather than trying to put them somewhere that maybe wouldn't fit so wonderfully for them. Time unlimited support. So this program is time unlimited and the support is individualized. So support continues for as long as the client wants us to be involved. So there is no time limit in our engagement with our individuals in this program. We also, as part of this, offer benefits counseling. So we want to ensure that the client is able to maintain their benefits while they're employed. So often it's, people worry that they're going to lose some of their benefits. But again, we work with them to be sure that that won't happen or as minimally as possible. And also worker preferences. So we find services tailored to the client's choices. So if an employer doesn't, even if the job sounds great, but the employer doesn't seem to work the best for the individuals, then we work with them on that. So again, I had a couple of questions in the newspaper about what supported employment actually meant. And so those are kind of our core principles. And again, it is a fidelity-based model. So we do have fidelity measures that we do have to meet, and those are primarily the ones I went over, and of course, other reporting and funding guidelines that we have to adhere to. So if that sounds like something that you or someone you know would be interested in pursuing, as always, I would encourage you to call our referral line, which is 503-842-8201. And that's my report for today.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do we have Randy Thorpe on the call this morning with Tillamook County Emergency Management? Give Randy a moment to unmute if he's here. And if not, let's go on to Commissioner Fournier. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I got something in my throat, but yeah, good morning. I'll testify. I just have a few things to talk about today. I appreciate Rep. Jarvity mentioning the upcoming legislative session and mentioning the discussions him and I have been having regarding the RV abatement and towing issues that we're having. In Tillamook County and actually around the whole state, every commissioner that I know from other counties have experienced the same problems we are with being able to afford the mitigation of these abandoned RV trailers and campers because due to DEQ regulations that require them to be tested for and inspected for asbestos, which can cost, if the abatement is needed, that's a few $100s for the testing, but then if abatement is needed, can be upwards of $5,000 or more. In fact, some of this, we had some parked along some state highways in Tillamook County. Highway 6 has a few of them right now. And they're also, as we all know, ODOT is having a hard time being able to afford the mitigation of these. And I was told that for them, it's about $11,000 a unit. And that around the state, the reason why you see these on state highways is actually they're technically storing them on the waysides, which is scary to me because of the wildfire danger, which I'll speak to in a minute. Sorry, I got something in my throat. I also wanted to mention that I was down at the Dory Days Parade. I did not run into Senator Weber down there, but and I was also unable to make the Dory Women's Heritage Center because I was in the parade. By the time that we got done at the end, they had already walked to their location. So I did enjoy being in the parade. It's always a fun parade. This year I was able to participate in the June Dairy Parade, which I won a trophy for, which I'm pretty excited about. My beat up old Camaro that Michelle and I decorate every year for the parades. We did the Dairy Parade. We did the 4th of July this year in Rockaway. I usually do Oceanside, but I wanted to start moving around to different parades, so we did Rockaway, which was amazing as well. And unfortunately, I will not be able to make the Garibaldi Days this week. I did go last year, wasn't able to make it. But Dory Days was always fun. Headed over to the community center, Columbus Community Center for the fish fry, which was amazing. They had outdoor seating, so I could bring my dog, and we sat outside in the sun. It was a beautiful day. Really loved that. So that was fun. What a great weekend. A couple of other more business-related stuff as I did meet with recently. If you watch our commissioner meeting, the Tillamook County Community Wildlife Protection Plan draft is out, and there were some public comments available for that. And basically, this plan is describing and unfortunately reclassifies quite a bit of Tillamook County as a high risk and extremely high risk for fires. Senator Weber did talk about that. I'm glad that the state legislators are talking about this. All these things, it's really interesting what I'm finding out is everything is so connected. So we have this, we have a wildfire problem at the same time that I'm attending conversations about the forest management plan, where we're fighting for harvesting on one side and yet spending tens upon tens of millions of dollars to fight fires on the other side. You know, it's kind of like these issues are dealt with in a silo rather than understanding that they are all interconnected. But that Netart's Oceanside Fire Department asked if you come visit them. They had some questions about implementing some fire defense um, work. They praised Randy. Since Randy's not here, they accept the praise. I'll give it to him anyways. But Randy Thorpe's work with Bentel and David Wells on this community wildfire protection plan. And so I think at the Fire Defense Board, I'll be talking to other chiefs and they're figuring out what they might need to do in their communities to create fire breaks. So Netart's Oceanside, the 200 line, which runs across Stimson land, they have already been doing some work to train their firefighters for wildland fires. So they've been clearing that road to make it a better fire break for a lot of our more populated areas out here, which include Ocean Highlands and the Avalon area, Oceanside, which are all just been rated as extremely high risk. So a lot of work being done locally. Local fire departments need the help. They don't have the sort of funding. So this is something I will be talking to Rep. Jabity and Senator Weber about how we can maybe find either some funding for the Oregon State Fire Marshal to help fund this mitigation, wildland mitigation work. Netart's Oceanside is really ahead of the curve. They're actually using this training opportunity. There are fire crews from Stucca, Halem Bay, and Netart's fighting fires in Oregon right now. So we have local firefighters that are out there. And so this mitigation they can do locally helps train them for our own fires and also to help out neighboring districts. So that's pretty exciting work, and I'm really proud to talk about that. Part of this, the other thing about things being connected is I get phone calls about roadside, the need for mowing of our tall grass along the roadside. It's interesting because we have basically one mower that has to move throughout the whole 75 miles of coastline of Tillamook County. But one of the things is this plan, another helpful side benefit of this, our road public works director, Chris Lady, is using the information from this plan to help set up the mowing schedule so that we're try to hit some of the higher risk areas and clear some of that fuel, the fire fuel, by keeping the sides of the road, the brush knocked down and grass roads. So the grass roads. So I'm really happy about that. What else I've been up to? Yeah, so I've been attending the Forest Trust Lands Advisory Committee as a voting member for that, and we are talking about the forest management plan. We had a meeting the other day with ODF as they will make a recommendation for a plan to the board, the forestry board. And there's a lot of still concern about harvest levels, and we are still fighting, trying to make that plan sustainable for us. It's again where there's a big push, big campaigns, conservation groups that just want to have zero harvest in the forest, but they don't have any funding options for us as counties. Money that we get from timber harvest and the whole intent of Tillamook County deeding the forest to the state was to help maintain those harvest levels and financial security from that. So always a battle. Finally, just recently, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife Commission and implementing crabbing rules. There is still public comment available. If you go to the ODFW website, I recommend this. Speaking of Dory Days, Ray Monroe, who's president of Dory, he's so active in bringing this stuff to our attention. He did send me a letter that he wrote in opposition. I am also providing testimony. The latest rules basically to summarize is mandating. There's a couple of things. There is discussions about gear changes to try to reduce entanglements with whales, but right now the pressing rule is forcing all commercial crabbers and fishermen to have a GPS tracking on their boats um, as a way of tracking locations and where they're catching rather than using voluntary reporting. And the problem, as Ray described, and I agree with, is in our case, in our community, we don't have these are small. A lot of these are mom and pop, small crabbing fishing operations. They have small boats, and the added expense, even if the state helps provide the initial equipment or funding or grants the initial equipment, um, maintenance and the GPS subscription are all going to be paid for by the fishermen. And there's already such a tight, razor thin profit margin. But anything like this, we have to be aware of. We have to push back a little bit and force these rulemaking bodies to address the fact that these are unfunded mandates. Again, if we keep putting more rules on us, they have to help our fishermen out and figure out and understand that there's a consequence. Additional rules, and although there might be a good reason to do it, we have to make sure we're not closing the door on these small fishermen and commercial crabbers. In our case, and the dories are a perfect example. These folks will launch their 20-foot, 22-foot boats through the surf. They have to replace electronic equipment every year or several times a year because the water's coming up over their boats. Usually, sometimes the boats are underwater for short periods of time as they break through the waves. So these are things that are not thought of. A large boat that's fishing out past 30 fathoms can afford to absorb the cost of this, but these smaller boats can. So just something else that we're focusing on here. I appreciate all the work that Ray Monroe has done and it's keeping me informed, and I appreciate all the work the AOC, Florida County has done to help keep us informed as far as the forest management plan. So a lot of stuff going on in the county. I think I'll stop there. I didn't expect to say that much, but I was taking notes while everybody else was talking. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to talk about that. Oh yeah, I want to talk about that. That's all I got for this one. Taking up so much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you were talking about the wildfire protection plan. That was a really cool meeting. We had a report, as Commissioner Fournier said, we had a report from the folks who have built the plan, are building the plan. It's not finalized yet, and it occurred to us sitting there that there's going to be so much information and opportunity in that plan for us to work with communities to boost their fire preparedness. In Tillamook County, for example, there's only one city, Bay City, the name for it, that's wildfire hardened. That's there's a name for the program, Firewise. That is Firewise. Bay City is the only city in the county that is Firewise, which means they've gone through a series of efforts in order to make their community more safe. And so there's the opportunity to share that information and lead community efforts in other cities, and which the commissioners are not in charge of, but of course we care about, and in other communities in unincorporated Tillamook County. So that's really exciting work and forthcoming. We're looking forward to that. I'm in particular looking forward to that because we have so many engaged community groups who are working hard in their own communities that they will be able to engage in this work also, and it flows naturally in terms of emergency preparedness work. So that's exciting, and thanks to Randy Thorpe, who's not here to receive the thanks. I was thinking a lot about wildfire last week during that big storm that people have talked about. I live in northeast Tillamook County, and this, it seemed like when the storm started, it was right outside my window. It was so, maybe 3:30 in the morning. It was so loud, and the thunder and the lightning came so fast together that I was wide awake, and I was counting like there were multiple thunderclaps and lightning strikes within 1 minute. It was wild, and I was fearful for our community because there was no rain. There was no rain for a couple hours, And I thought, oh no, these are optimal conditions. This much lightning and no rain, these are optimal conditions for wildfire. So we are very fortunate that we don't have any serious wildfires happening right now, and other parts of our state and the nation are less fortunate. So I'm certainly grateful to ODF and everyone else for all their firefighting efforts. Let's see, last Friday, we had a courthouse security training. The state marshal's office came and provided training. The county departments and the board of commissioners partnered with circuit court. We're all part of a courthouse security and emergency preparedness group. And so, we're working together on that. And it was, it's a kind of a depressing topic to think about violence in public spaces, but it happens. And so we're much better off being prepared as a group to know, schools have to do these trainings, public places, courthouses have to do these trainings, the people who work in courthouses, to know what would we do in this event. God forbid, we all hope, of course, that this will never happen here, but it could. And what will we all do? Because the extent to which people in a space are trained and they know what to do, it absolutely factors in survival. And so it was a very good training, and I'm grateful that people in the courthouse, people in our community, and people in the state organizations are invested in that kind of training, because in any emergency, when people know what to do, it just goes so much more smoothly. Let's see. I wanted to talk about this Friday. I'll be going to a new to me, but I think entirely new mini conference. It's just one day in Beaverton, and it's put on for a combination of tourism, housing, and government. And so the theory of it is that those different bodies, people who are working in tourism, people who are working in housing, people who are working in government, have similar issues, but they don't often enough get together to talk about how where the points of connection and how to solve problems together. So I'm going to that this Friday with Dan Hagg from Tillamook Coast Visitors Association and Sarah Absher from Community Development, and a woman whose name I've forgotten at the moment, and who works in short-term rentals. And so I'm really excited to see what comes out of that and how we can do an even better job of working together. I wanted to talk for a minute about Garibaldi Days. I was having a conversation last night with Val Schumann, who is working on Garibaldi Days, and there are several things going on in Garibaldi Days this year that I didn't know about, and I don't know if they've always done these things or some of them are brand new. So for example, there's a Grand Marshal. That's something they've always done. This year, the Grand Marshals are Dennis and Amanda Cavett, who have Garibaldi Portside Bistro, and they're celebrating their 10th anniversary. And those folks have just done such a good job and invested so much in the community and the economy and Tillamook County altogether. So they're the perfect Grand Marshals. But something that's new this year is that they're starting Garibaldi History Initiative. So they're calling this the first annual Garibaldi Days inductee into the Garibaldi History Hall of Fame. So this is new, the Garibaldi History Hall of Fame. And the first inductee is the Farley family. Captain Robert Farley, I'm reading this from the poster, was the first keeper of the United States Life-Saving Station, which later became the U.S. Coast Guard at Tillamook Bay, serving from 1908 to his retirement in 1937. And when he retired, he and his wife settled in Garibaldi. So the Farley family are the first inductees into the Garibaldi History Hall of Fame, and that will be a fun new new thing that they do in Garibaldi Days is add to that list. And then also, it's Saturday is Coast Guard Appreciation Day, and so from 11 to 2, they're having a big celebration for the Coast Guard in the big tent, and there'll be games for kids and live music, food and beverages. So stop by the big tent to honor the Coast Guard. We all appreciate the Coast Guard, and I appreciate the effort to have a special event to honor the Coast Guard. And then in the evening, this is fun, they're having a fundraiser for the boathouse at the boathouse at 8:30. And it's the boathouse is kind of small, so the tickets are limited. There are 50 tickets available. This is a fundraiser for the boathouse, and it starts at 8:30. They'll have food and beverages and live music. And then folks who are out there will get to watch the fireworks. So that's why it starts late. So food, beverages, live music, celebrate the boathouse, and then fireworks. So that sounds really fun. So I just wanted to share with people all those fun things that are happening. And I will wrap this up by saying we've been talking about openings on the Fair Board, and we've received a few applications. Thank you very much to folks who have applied. And those applications are still open. You're welcome to apply, and we will do interviews for Fair Board applicants after the fair because, of course, it's coming right up. So I will stop there and move on to the cities, starting with Manzanita. I heard from Linda Kozlowski that she is not available today, so I'll just take a moment to see if Mayor Stock is with us. How about anyone from Nehalem or Wheeler? And do we have Mayor McNeely from Rockaway Beach with us this morning?
Good morning, Tillamook County. I am here this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I want to just kick off a few comments about our 4th of July celebration. While there are always lessons to learn and improvements to note for next year, by most accounts, this special 250-year celebration was one of our best and busiest 4th of July celebrations and weekends yet. I want to sincerely thank everyone who helped make it possible, our volunteers, community organizations, departments, and staff who worked so hard to deliver another successful July 4th. It takes a tremendous effort each year, and the event tests every part of our municipality, from our first responders to our water and sewer systems. I'm proud of what the city does to go from a small, sleepy town to an incredibly busy town on the 4th. And make Rockaway Beach such a special place. Here are some interesting facts from this year's 3-day weekend. Our fire department put in 231 hours of work while responding to 19 unattended beach fires and 4 grass fires. Western Display delivered an impressive fireworks show with 6,380 shots, including 780 3-inch or larger mortars at a pace of nearly 4 shots per second. I think the show went on for about 28 minutes, and feedback I've gotten from the community is it was, in fact, the best show we've ever delivered on the 4th of July. And then, of course, Public Works was extremely busy and plays a major role in keeping the weekend running smoothly. They closed and reopened 14 streets in support of our parade. They collected 730 bags of trash amounting to 70 cubic yards, and they produced 1,521,000 gallons of water over the weekend. Together, these efforts show the scale of work that goes into making Independence Day weekend safe, successful, and memorable in Rockaway Beach. Again, my heartfelt thanks to everybody that made this happen for us. A couple of things about our council meetings in July. One highlight from the July regular council meeting was the approval of a contract award for the long-awaited Lake Lytle restroom and parking project. The project will add 10 vehicle parking spaces, 5 boat and trailer parking spaces, and 2 ADA compliant parking spaces. Most importantly, it'll bring water, sewer, and power to the site, allowing the new 2-unit restroom to include lights, running water, and flushing toilets. Work could begin as soon as September, with completion expected by the end of the year. The council also heard from Public Works Director Mertz about next steps for addressing the invasive milfoil. We're building and working on a partnership between Tillamook Estuaries and the city to do some public outreach and some public discussion about what it is and what we could do about it. And then we're beginning again to work on our in-water plans, which include docks, fishing piers, and a kayak launch at the site. So again, thank you, Tillamook County, for leasing us the parking lot there. We're very excited about where we're going with that space. It's going to become, I think, one of the premier recreational destinations on the coast. At the same meeting, the City Council also adopted an ordinance and a resolution that together they'll allow the city to establish a master fee schedule, removing fees from our ordinances and controlling them by resolution going forward. This will be a really important administrative tool as the city organizes fees in one place and makes future updates clear that can be timed during budget committee meetings and the budget process for the city. And then last but not least, at the workshop, we had presentations from Hunter Communications about their high-speed internet offering, with whom the city will pursue a franchise agreement. And we got updates on the city's efforts to add parking downtown and the work being done with Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad on their desire for an additional parallel track in their downtown to move their locomotive from front to back. I recommend that you read the materials and watch the recording of the July 15th workshop, which can be accessed on our city website. In particular, the work that Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad would like to do will have a major impact on our downtown, and I really want all of our community members and businesses to understand what's going on and take a moment to weigh in as they deem important. Okay, I sped through that. I'm done. Back to you. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. We always appreciate your report. Excuse me. I'm going to circle back now to Randy Thorpe, Tillamook County Emergency Manager. Randy was in another appointment and just joined us. Randy, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. Looks like
you missed it. We were singing your praises and you missed it. So I'll have to catch you up on all of our thanks later.
Oh, okay. No wonder my ears were tingling earlier today. So anyway, well, it's a foggy morning, but I want to talk a little bit about our wildfire situation within our state right now. I sat in on a couple of meetings that included all the statewide emergency managers, OEM and ODF, all the alphabet soup players that are taking care of our wildfires. Right now, they've got about 53 active fires within the county. Luckily, none of them are in Tillamook County. It's really quite dry on the other side of the Cascades, and they're having quite a bit. They've got some fairly large fires that have no containment in them. So it's looking fairly not bleak, but just not a good thing going on the other side of the Cascades. And that just I mention that because we need to be careful here in Tillamook County. Even though we're on the coast, we get a lot of moisture, we get a lot of that marine layer in here. There's still a possibility that wildfires could start here. There are areas that are extremely dry within the county. We haven't gotten much moisture this spring like we normally get, so we need to be extremely careful when we're out there. Mr. Bell also wanted me to talk about the countywide burn ban, and effective on July 1st, the Tillamook County Fire Defense Board, in coordination with the Oregon Department of Forestry, implemented their burn ban starting on July 1st. And this ban prohibits all outdoor open debris burning and burn barrels included in that. And the restriction is there to help prevent any wildland fires. There are some exceptions though. Campfires are permitted as long as they're in appropriate areas and areas cleared, around where you're going to have your little campfire. And again, campfires in designated sites only if you're in the state parks or in national forest or on Oregon Department of Forestry land. Beach fires are allowed as long as they're 50 feet away from any vegetation and driftwood piles. Your best bet is that if you live within an incorporated city, please contact your local fire department or fire district and talk to them about if there's any additional restrictions within the city limits of where you live. But again, these restrictions are put in place because the fire danger is starting to creep up, and we're concerned about not having any unwieldy fires going on within our county. We also had a pretty good lightning storm the other night, and luckily it was followed up with a bunch of rain, which was really nice because we didn't have any wildfires started from that. They did have, like I say, on the other side of the Cascades, that same lightning storm went through, and they didn't get any moisture, and so they did get some fire starts over there. So we were lucky this time. We dodged the bullet, but again, with any type of lightning storms, we need to be aware of any types of wildfire starts. And I say that because, again, if we see something, smoke or even actually the fire, we need to make sure that we get that reported immediately to our 911 center so they can dispatch the appropriate crews there so we can make sure that whatever fires do occur here in the county are put out quickly. And a lot of times you don't hear about fires within our county because our various departments and districts do such an excellent job in getting there quickly and extinguishing any types of wildfires. And that includes our partners with the Oregon Department of Forestry. And so a lot of times we do have a lot of small fires, but they just don't make the news, which is good because they stay small. And the other thing that's wrapping up right now is our Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We had some public comment period open, and they're still looking at any other types of input from our public that would like to do with that plan. The plan is nearly complete. It's an excellent plan as far as I'm concerned. It really identifies some areas of high risk within our county and comes up with some great mitigation opportunities that we have within those different communities that were identified. And a lot of times I was looking at it, and a lot of things that make the different areas a higher or extreme risk are basically the egress routes. There's a lot of areas we have one way in, one way out. Fire trucks can't get in, and if they can get in, they can't get turned around. And also, so that really kicks it into a higher risk, not just because of the chance of wildfires, but just the difficulty in fighting those fires. And so, again, those areas have been identified, and some mitigation ideas have come out with what they can do to help alleviate that problem. The other thing that identifies some high risk and extremely high risk areas was availability of water. A lot of our areas are outside the range of hydrants, and so they're looking at other alternatives that we can have in those areas, seeing if we can build some cisterns or have some other types of water storage in those areas that can at least help us if there is wildland fire. So anyway, that plan was presented to our county commissioners during a briefing on the first, just to go over and let them know what that plan was. It was supposed to be a 50 presentation, and it was about an hour, which I think was very informative for our commissioners and those who were listening in on that briefing. And as soon as we get everything wrapped up with this plan, we will be to the commissioners for signature. All our signature plan, our fire defense board, and that includes all our districts and city fire departments, and also Oregon Department of Forestry. And really, this plan is written for the benefit of those fire districts within the county and Oregon Department of Forestry, because there are and only wildland fire protection organizations that we have. And the county supports that with them adopting that. And this plan will become part of the standalone plan. It'll be part of our countywide natural hazard mitigation plan. That plan didn't go into a lot of depth in wildland fire, and so this will be a great addition, kind of like an annex to that main plan. And hopefully, because of the planning efforts that were done and some mitigation recommendations, that does open up the county and different communities to look at possible funding to this mitigation. There are sources through the U.S. Forest Service, Fire Marshal's Office, and from the Oregon Department of Forestry. And so that's one great thing about this plan, is that once we have it written, it does allow us to start looking at those types of funds. And then by tying it to our natural hazard mitigation plan, that also opens up additional funding to help do some of these mitigations. A lot of mitigations are like doing a lot of work along to clear you do see that right now with a lot of the ODOT crews and county crews out clearing the vegetation along our roads with their little mulchers, and also taking down any types of vegetation. And our public utilities district is also out there, and they're doing a lot of clearing around their lines with trees, and also doing a grinding up of the vegetation around the power lines to help mitigate any types of wildland fire ignition on that. And like I say, this is all expensive, it's not free. And so that's another reason why we can start looking at some outside funding to help both the Tillamook People's Utility District and our own local county road department, and funding to do some of these some of the necessary that's going on there. Just
Thank you.
Be careful with the fires you have out there, especially if
Randy, I'm gonna interrupt you. Randy, I'm gonna interrupt you there and say thank you, because your audio has become garbled.
Oh, okay.
So
I will
thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your report.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the city of Bay City. Do we have someone from Bay City with us still?
Good morning, Commissioner Bell. Yes, I had to come off the mute. And thank you. It's been a very good discussion on the wildfires today. And of course, I'm keeping a close eye on that. Just we have lots of friends that live out on the east side of the state. Bay City, what's going on is we have our ongoing construction projects, which is increasing the water supply for Bay City with the new water reservoir, hardening of water transmission lines. We've got the seismic upgrade of the fire department building, Station 41, and also new park equipment at both Watt Family Park and Al Griffin Park. So still managing these constructions with projects, which is keeping our crews busy. And also the Pearl and Oyster Music Festival is scheduled for August 22nd and 23rd. It's a free event open to the entire community and people outside of our community to enjoy. We've got music, and Sunday is Family Day. We also have a pep parade. So all are welcome, and I look forward to that coming up. And that's my report for today. So thank you.
Thank you. The Pearl is very fun. I listened to some great music there last year.
Good. I hope you come back this year.
I look forward to it. Well, let's wrap up this call with the City of Tillamook and Sean Lewis.
Good morning. The City of Tillamook is hosting our first movie in the park this Friday at Goodspeed Park, and we are showing Disney's Hoppers, which is a fun little movie. My family enjoyed it, and takes place here in Oregon, and the main character is a beaver. So a fun fun romp for that movie. They'll be shown at dusk at Goodspeed Park. Also on our calendar, looking forward to National Night Out on August 4th at 5 o'clock. This is when you can come get some free food and dump the police chief and the mayor in our dunk tank, which is always a fun tradition every year. Want to pass along a note from City Council last night. Last night, the City Council in our regular meeting had the first reading of ordinances related to parking on city streets. This goes to Commissioner Fournier's comments a little bit about the RVs. If this ordinance goes through the entire process, which we had the first reading today, last night, the second reading will be in 2 weeks. And then it would take effect, if it passes the second reading, it would take effect 30 days following. This would prohibit the parking, storage, or leaving of RVs, trailers, boats, anything that can be towed, debris, garbage, anything like that on city-owned rights of way. What this practically means is that we are asking that those that have RVs, trailers, or boats, rather than store them on the street, they are being asked to be stored in the driveway of your home and park your cars on the street, or to get a storage unit to put them in. This is to help us with our enforcement of the RVs that get abandoned. And so the City Council has been very concerned about this. We've been working on this for many, many months. And so we will have the second reading of that ordinance beginning at our next meeting of the City Council, which will be on August 20th. The Council also had a proclamation for America's 250 last night, and passed a couple of resolutions regarding the some loans that we want to get back, some refinancing to save the city some money. But the big news out of City Council last night was this RV ordinance. We will also be discussing at our next meeting on August 20th downtown parking and possibly some changes to the 2nd Street Henson Plaza. Our meeting on August 20th will not be held at City Hall. It'll be held at TBCC at their new building in their upstairs conference room, which will be a little bit more inviting to people who want to come and actually be able to hear and see what's going on. So this is a one-time change just for the meeting on August 3rd. We'll be meeting at TBCC. And I think for brevity, I will leave that as my report, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sean. Well, thanks to everyone today for participating in this call. Thanks to everyone for listening. And thanks, as always, to KTIL for broadcasting. This meeting is adjourned at 9:13 a.m. Have a great day, everyone.